Jesus is an invitation to the broken. I honestly believe that our relationship with Christ, it is so different for so many people. Obviously, we're all completely unique, but we have to evolve. We have to change in this relationship. Now, I'm not talking about Christ's love changing or the serenity you will feel when you have received the Holy Spirit and are faithful to Him. I'm talking about the mission that we are on. I am still in the infancy of my Christianity. It's been just a couple months really since I've come to Christ completely. Now, God saved me almost 2 years ago, but not until about Easter time did I even start realizing, because God made me work for it. God's like, you go out and you find the truth. I will guide you along the way, but you need to do the work. So I did. And I went out searching high and low for whatever truth I could find. You know, I had already been shown so much, but I had to know more. I had to know is there a religion that's right? If so, which one? Is there a certain faith that I should have? I just wanted to show God the worship He deserves. And I wanted to show Him that it was a lot of hubris in it too. A lot of ego. I wanted to be the one to figure out the true religion. You know, to go into, they call it a cafeteria Christian sometimes, but I was not even strictly Christian. I just wanted to grab the best things I could from each religion, like a universalist, and make it into one solid foundation. Because as I said in a video a few days ago, I believe when you hear two sides of a story, the truth is usually somewhere in between. So I figured, well, all these religions are so great, probably the truth is somewhere in between. And it made the most sense to me. It really did. Until I started researching. And I started researching not just logically and literally. I started talking to God about it too. I was like, I don't want this to be some sort of, maybe there isn't a real religion. So I was like, please just show me the way. Show me how to worship you. Show me the best way that I can conduct my faith and my relationship with you. And as my eyes began to open, as I chipped the scales away from them, I saw Christ. I saw the Holy Spirit. And He had been waiting. He was just smiling, waiting for me. And let me tell you, salvation, while it is seemingly a nightmare to get there, a lot of times, as I've said, you had to be broken. It is one amazing gift after another. And gift doesn't even do it justice. It is one life-altering miracle after another. But you know, like, I watch a lot of preachers, and I read a lot of content, Christian content, and I try to get different perspectives of Christianity and faith in general. I like watching debates. I like watching all kinds of stuff. One great movie I just watched and I can't, it's not usually the type of movie I would watch because they're just usually so cheesy it was called The Jesus Revolution. And it was about the actual Jesus Revolution in the 1960s during the hippie movement. And honestly, I never even knew about this. You know, you have the Elton John song, was it Tiny Dancer? And he's like, Jesus freaks out in the streets, handing messages out for God. And I was like, well, he's just obviously calling Christians freaks. So, there's nothing new about that. That's Elton John for you. But no, it was an actual movement. And this movie showed, obviously left out a lot of stuff, but it showed a great portrayal of the people involved in there. One of the main characters who it was about, I believe his name is Greg Laurie, Pastor Greg Laurie now. He's an amazing pastor. I've watched a couple of his sermons, and it is just powerful stuff. And this is his testimony in a way, but it's many others' testimony. But we look at that, and the whole thing was about basically the hippies were trying to find the truth in their drugs, in their LSD, in their, the new lifestyle that they found. They were trying to find the truth in that, and the drugs were lying to them. And it showed many examples of how demonic oftentimes these psychedelics can be. Now, I've had plenty of times when I've seen or felt demonic things when I'm doing them. It does kind of wipe away the surface layer of things. So I could see the good behind things, and I could see the bad and the evil behind things. It was actually pretty incredible, and that's what captivated me. I told myself I was willing to deal with the consequences as long as I got these secrets of life. My life was worthless to me. So I had to find worth in it. I had to find meaning and purpose. Whether it meant my sanity and my health or whatever, it did not matter to me. And that's how many young people feel. Now, obviously, people take psychedelics for different reasons. Some are just partying, which, not the greatest party drug, but I mean, it usually drug addicts in some way, shape, or form are going to come across psychedelics at some point. But they finally found Christ. They finally, the pastor, the Greg Laurie character, who was just a teenager at the time. I think he was just about to turn 18, maybe a little younger. I don't even know. He was so desperate to find something in the life to give him purpose. But his father had left him at an early age. His mother was an alcoholic who just basically blew him off all the time. Never was a great mother. He was taking care of her more than she was taking care of him. And so he was riding in this van with the other hippies, and the one was, tripping out driving. And he basically almost killed them like 2 or 3 times in a row. So Greg jumps out of the van and just starts running down the street. And this is when the main character, or one of the other main characters, I think his name is Lonnie Frisbee, which was his real name. It's funny, but he's the guy who plays Jesus on The Chosen. He comes out and he catches up with Greg, who's running, just crazy running, tripping his balls off, and he stops him and he's like, "Oh, it's okay." He calms him down. He's like, He's like, this is just the drugs lying to you. And then, finally, he's sitting there having a great conversation with him. He calms him down. Greg gets up to start running again. He's like, no, I got to go. And Lonnie was like, he's like, Greg, God told me you don't have to run anymore. And that was obviously powerful for him. It was powerful for me too. We're all running from something. We all think we're running towards something, but we're all running away from something. What are you running away from? Man, I could break out a list. It's so long that I was running away from, but it was mainly myself. And you can't outrun yourself. Can't outrun the horrors that you're going to experience in this life, especially when you don't have a relationship with Christ. But they had this big Jesus revolution, and they baptized thousands, probably tens of thousands, if not more, people and brought them in. And, when the first night that the Greg Laurie character went to church, Lonnie was up there giving a little sermon. Got trees falling around me. Branches. Lonnie was up there giving a sermon, and he stops, and he's like, someone in this congregation is hurting. Someone's in pain. And he goes out and he starts talking. He goes out and he knows exactly what is happening with these. The first woman he goes up to, he's like, you're addicted to drugs, and you've tried to quit so many times, and it just won't let you. Just won't let you. You've even thought about doing them again right before you came here tonight. And she's like, how did you know this? And he goes up to like 4 other people who knew exactly what was going on with him. But Lonnie, or the Greg Laurie's character, he runs out of there. And the girl, which will be his future wife, chases after him. And he said something that really struck with me after I was saved. He said, what if it's just another high? He said, everybody's let me down. Why is this any different? Oh, I don't know. That I've heard that before. Why is this any different? Because your father may have left you. Your boyfriend or girlfriend may have abandoned you. Your mother may have abandoned you. Who knows who abandoned you or hurt you? But that is front and center in your mind. Front and center. All you can think about. Because you are obviously going to personify Christ and God in any way that makes sense to your life. So if everybody's let you down already, why wouldn't Christ let you down? And why wouldn't it be a high? That was what worried. That was one of my main concerns after I was saved. I kept hearing, because I told you I was going and watching different faiths and religions and spiritualities, and the New Age spiritual people just kept saying, dark night of the soul is going to come. Dark night of the soul is going to come. I'm like, what? You mean this is all going to go away again? And I was like, I can't lose this. I can't lose my God once I've spent so long finally trying to find him. Let me tell you all something. This November, so in a couple months, it will be 2 years since I was saved. And absolutely, I'm not as giddy as I was, especially when I was first saved and then when I found Christ during my search for faith. There's a giddiness. You want to get up and dance and sing and just rejoice. And absolutely that dies down. You can't be like that all the time. What are you going to be, some smiling idiot? I guess I've known some people who actually are pretty much like that most of the time. I mean, it's pretty close. But you can't expect that feeling all the time. What you can expect is the serenity. The serenity and the wisdom and the love. And that giddiness will be back every now and then to say hello. It comes and goes in waves. You're going to have ups and downs, absolutely. But usually the downs are only on days when you're feeling your faith slipping a little bit. The Holy Spirit, he's like a car that runs on faith. Or like we'll say a rocket ship that runs on faith. So your faith starts getting low and you start doubting or you start sinning too much. It's going to start sputtering. You're like, uh-oh. If I don't pick it up here, I'm going to go in a free fall. But he knows you're going to sin. He knows you're going to doubt. So he works with you. You're a human. You're going to mess up. You're not perfect. Even God's chosen prophets, they were screw-ups a lot of times, man. Let me tell you. Even Christ's rock, Peter, man, he was a sinner, as we all are. That's the point. That's the point of the whole thing. But okay, so you have this hippie, God is love, and that's it. And, it's all hold hands and sing songs. Obviously, you saw they went through a lot of brokenness first. And if you read the stories of the people involved in the Jesus Revolution, they had problems even afterwards, especially the Lonnie Frisbee guy. But you could tell exactly when he started. And I'm glad that the movie started to show this too. Because he got so famous and so big that he was drunk on the fame. Just like the drugs that he had kicked. Now he was drunk on fame. He was such a good preacher and a good prophet of God, a good messenger of God. It just got to him. You see this with TV evangelists. You see it with, the huge mega church pastors and preachers. You see it with, obviously, the Catholic Church. You see it non-stop. So then I go to somebody like Voddie Baucham, Pastor Voddie Baucham. The other side of the spectrum of the relationship with Christ. He said, my Christ is not some sissified version of Christ. He's not some, so gentle, so weak and so mild and... No. He said Christ is there to break us. If we're not already broken ourselves, Christ will break us, because that is the way. That is how we're going to have to learn. That is how we finally relate to him through suffering. That is how we finally understand the message and the gift we receive of the Holy Spirit. It's a struggle session. Kind of like when Jacob was wrestling God all night in Genesis. Jacob was wrestling. Now, some people say it was an angel. Some people say it was Jesus himself he was wrestling. But the way I see it, a lot of us are like this. We wrestle with God, and what does that mean? No, we're not going to be wrestling physically with Jesus or God or an angel. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be throwing a little tantrum like a little toddler. Swinging our arms and screaming and crying and, oh, why can't I get in my way? And God is going to be there. Christ is going to be there. The angel is going to be there. Just waiting for us to burn ourselves out. And you have those therapy struggle sessions where it is intense. You better churn up those fears. You better churn up those traumas, and it's going to teach you a lesson. It is intensity. And that's the same with psychedelics. They don't give you a choice. Many psychedelics do not give you a choice whether you're going to face those fears or not. If those fears are front and center in a big part of your life, you're going to face them. You know, I had a friend who worked with a doctor at Johns Hopkins. I've told this, I think, before. And they actually used the psilocybin psychedelic mushrooms to give to end-of-life patients. They were terrified of dying. But you know what? When they took those mushrooms and they had that psychedelic experience in a calmer setting, obviously, I think about 88% of them came out of it with no fear of death anymore. Christ is a struggle session. Christ is wrestling with God. Christ is not some peaceful, sissified thing, but he is. He's not sissified. He's peaceful and he's loving. But he also says he comes here as a sword, not for peace. He says we must hate our brothers and sisters and family and even our own life if we're going to follow and be his disciple. Now, if you want to hear more about that, listen to my last video. Does God calling us to hate? I think was the title of it. God is not some hippie idea. He's not some hippie peace and love, man. Peace and love. That's it. Everybody's saying, he says not to judge. He also says have righteous judgment then. There's a lot of things that are seemingly contradicting each other in the Bible, but not really if you actually understand it. If you actually take the time to study it and not just hear what some atheist has to say about it. But I go back to what Pastor Greg Laurie's character said in Jesus Revolution. What if this is just another high? That, my friends, is wrestling with God. That is exactly what it's talking about. So many of us do this. Every single one of us has doubts. Every single one of us has sins. Every single one of us will be wrestling with God. Christ wants us broken. This is why he came to the poor, the weak, and the oppressed. These people understand pain and overwhelming suffering. We must explore our relationship with Christ every chance we get, all day long if we can. Every minute you can commit to Him. Commit it to Him. Make your whole life a devotion to Christ, a testament to Christ's love. It should change everything. How you interact with others, how you treat yourself. Most of us try to turn away when our ugliest sides come out. Don't do this. That's when you need Him the most. He will take the burden of shame and guilt and fear and addiction. He rips it out. He's not some gentle, peaceful, sissified thing. He rips it out. And then the Holy Spirit stitches up the wounds. If you just invite Christ into your happy facade and nothing else, because that's what you show others, you're not in an intimate relationship. It's like the passion and fire that so many are scared of these days. Get down in the mud and pick up the pieces of your broken life. Put the trauma and tragedy that causes us to fall back into sin all the time out of its misery. Strangle it. Because it is the misery that keeps us away from Christ. That is wrestling with God. That is the version that we need a lot of the times. If we just come on everybody, love each other, let's hold hands, let's all be together and let's all be happy, and the whole hippie thing, you're never going to have a lasting faith. That is a shallow relationship. Christ already knows what kind of identity and what kind of facade that you show the world. He doesn't care about that. He wants the real you. Scars and all. He wants you. He doesn't need to be treated like some gentle baby, and neither do you. Sometimes we need our asses smacked around some. Wake up. You know, I talk to my daughter sometimes about, the bully she has at school, and I'm like, it was a lot easier for boys because boys just beat the crap out of each other, and then they're best friends. Girls sit there and conspire against each other and just talk about each other behind their backs and make little plans on how to take each other down, and it's so disgusting. But this is human nature. This is who we are. You might think you're different. No, that's not me. But you are. You're lying to yourself. You can lie to yourself all you want. That's not going to do you any good. We all have that bully in us. We all have that disgusting, ugly side in us. And it comes out way too often. Way too often. So please, you must understand, this is it isn't what you keep thinking of Christ as in your head. Our relationship with Him changes to whatever we need it to be. But it doesn't change what we want it to be. No. Christ never changes. The way He interacts with us changes quite a bit. Christ is the universal constant. The Holy Spirit and God the Father are the universal constants. All right, everybody. I have more to say about this, but it's getting late. I got to get home. I hope, please leave comments letting me know what you think. If you have a critique of me, please tell me. Again, I'm not some fragile little thing. You can tell me, man, you looked ugly today. And it's not going to bother me. Like, well, yeah, it looks like you have working eyes, right? No, try to give me some critiques of my actual videos, of what I'm saying. If you love it, great. But please, if there's anything that annoys you or that you think I should do differently, let me know. I'm about the last person I ever thought would be doing something like this. So the fact that I've made, 200 and some, almost 250 videos now is just still amazes me some days. But I want to hear constructive criticism as much as I can, because that's what helps me grow. That's what helps me help all of you. As I said in the last video, I never have a lack of something to talk about. My problem is usually I have too much to talk about and my brain doesn't know which way to go on it. It's like, oh yeah, you're thinking of, like the other day I was, it's yesterday, but I won't post this video until tomorrow. I was talking about Elijah and I called him, then a bluebird landed in, there was some doves eating some straw, and then a bluebird landed right in front of my, basically right in front of my face on this little branch. And I was talking about Elijah, and I called him Isaiah, and I forgot what the hell I was talking about. And I told, I was like, you need to, when I post this, just tell me like something like the Billy Madison when he's having that the debate in business decathlon or whatever, and he gives his story on, I forget what it was, like something about Industrial Revolution in classic literature or something, and he's talking about the little puppy who could that he learned in kindergarten. The principal's like, that is the dumbest thing. Everybody here is dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. He's like, simple no would have been all right. Oh, man. All right, guys. I love you all. It is so hot out here. I don't know why I should probably head back. But I love you all. You have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.